Welcome to today's Postgrad Insight session brought to you today by postgrad.com. Today's session is an artificial intelligence webinar brought to you by, as you can see on your screen, by the University of Bath. We're joined today by a couple of, a lecturer and a professor. I'm going to be handing over to you very shortly to Mike Tipping, who's the Professor of Machine Learning at the Department of Computer Science at Bath. But before I do, just a reminder that today's session is live. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A and chat facility. If you are watching on demand, please make sure that you put your questions forward to webinars@postgradsolutions.com. And likewise, if anybody is watching and does wish to apply for the £2,000 bursary, which Postgrad Solutions hand out 5 times a year to students that view and watch webinars, please ensure you wait till the end where I'll post a link for more information. Once again, thank you for your time. Today's date is the 6th of November, so if you are watching on demand, that might give you a bit of a reference. But I'd like to hand over to Professor Mike Tipping now. He'll take you through the next 15 to 20 minutes. We'll hand over to Dr. Fabio, who'll be talking to you about the computer science course in more detail, followed by 2 students. Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Gareth, and hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you for hopefully about 15 minutes, a little bit about the AI industry, the potential to follow a career in that field, and I'll sort of show how the master's courses that we have at Bath, and we offer 3 at the moment in that area, relate to that, and give you a bit of detail about what's actually in those courses, what you'd actually learn about if you came to Bath. And then I'll hand over to Fabio, my colleague, who will tell you a bit more about the background of the University of Bath and the life here. So for now, let me tell you a little bit about AI and the potential for careers there, and why is everyone interested in AI? I guess many of you are here today because there's been a phenomenal growth of interest in the area of AI in the last decade and even more. And if you want to look at it in just purely financial terms, you can search the internet and you can almost find any figure you want for what is the current value of the global market in AI. So if you want to take a reputable estimate, perhaps from the United Nations Department of Trade and Development, they estimate that this year the global market in the field will be about $300 billion. And their prediction for 8 years' time is that they'll be worth $4.8 trillion. These numbers are effectively just grabbed out of the sky, of course, and you can probably come up with your own. And the United States Department of Commerce thinks that just here in the UK, by 2035, AI will be adding an extra $1 trillion to our gross domestic product. Now, these are all sort of estimates. Just to give you a couple of concrete numbers before we move on, if you think about NVIDIA, I'm sure they're a company you've heard of. Since January 2023, in fact, in less than 3 years, the market value of that company has gone up by $4.6 trillion alone. So that's just one AI-related company is worth more than 15 times the current estimated annual market in the area. Food for thought, I think. And if you think about the here and now, we'll be here together for an hour, I think. And during that time, Google, with its AI algorithms for advertising placement, will probably earn about $35 million based on their latest revenue figures. So by the end of tomorrow afternoon here in the UK, that's over $1 billion they'll have made from that. So food for thought, I think. So why has this happened in the last decade or so? Well, there's been a dramatic development in the underlying science, and in particular in the technology in artificial intelligence and the related fields, machine learning in particular. So if I take you back to 1992, I myself did a master's in artificial intelligence, and this is the very book I used. Sorry, it's slightly out of focus, but it contains 660 pages on AI, and the last chapter, 50 pages, is about learning. The rest of it is what we would now call classical AI. Back then, learning was very much in the minority. It was a marginalized concept. Today, if you wanted to study artificial intelligence, you wanted to pick one of the many textbooks available, you may well go for this one. This is Simon Prince's Understanding Deep Learning, which I definitely recommend. That book tells you everything you need to know about AI, but it's also pretty much all about machine learning. It's a reflection of the way the field has changed, particularly since about 2012. But the really interesting thing, or perhaps exciting thing about the field is that we haven't sort of converged on the right answers in any respect whatsoever. I'm sure you're fully aware of the limitations of even the most prominent and most successful models, particularly large language models today. We definitely haven't arrived at the best science and the best technology, so there's plenty of scope. If you work in the field to discover new ideas or make use of new ideas, apply them, it's still changing. And I suspect in a few years' time, you'll be using a completely different textbook. And quite possibly, if you just want to go to the next slide, Fabio, if you're really interested in the field, you'll be helping to write the next textbook, perhaps. So thinking about what you might actually do if you studied AI at this stage, where might you go next after studying for a master's, perhaps at the University of Bath? Well, I like to think about the opportunities available in this sort of what I call the AI career spectrum. It's just a way of trying to condense all the possibilities down into a single, perhaps quite complicated slide, but nevertheless, if you think about this spectrum as going from left to right as you view it, perhaps increasing sort of depth of science, increasing technology, or indeed increasing focus on mathematics, then you can sort of start on the left with your more traditional corporations, which are making great use of data science historically, and now, of course, everyone is using AI. And as you move more towards the right, I think the technology level increases and you end up at places you'll probably have heard of, like the tech labs of the big IT corporations, the big seven, as they're now called in the United States. And perhaps at the very right-hand end, one of the most interesting places to work if you study AI these days is in tech startups. So I've just listed a few there that I picked out of the air. And of course, you might be thinking of a master's in AI or machine learning or data science as a sort of gateway to a PhD, and that's entirely feasible as well. There's so many options open to you. And it's working in so many different companies and doing so many different types of things. So what actually would you be doing if you worked at one of those many companies? Well, ultimately, we're dealing with numbers. So numbers aren't very exciting, and quite often when companies work with them, they're still coming in good old-fashioned spreadsheets. So we've moved on. Databases are much bigger nowadays, but quite often you'll be dealing with lots and lots of numbers. But the problems behind them are often quite a lot more interesting than looking at spreadsheets. So I've just picked 6 out of the air here, 6 projects that I've had personal experience with in the past, just to give you a flavor of the sort of things you can work on if you gain a qualification in AI or data science or machine learning. Can you flick on one, Fabio? I think that will reveal the pictures behind. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much. So just to give you a quick description, at the center top, we have something called a Compton camera, which is used for imaging gamma rays. It's quite the high energy end of the spectrum of gamma rays, of course. They're quite difficult to figure out where they're coming from, so you have to use this complex apparatus. And behind the scenes, the signals are being disambiguated here by a specific AI algorithm that tries to figure out where in the picture, so to speak, the gamma ray source is located. So it's very useful both in things like molecular biology, but also quite useful if you're decommissioning an old nuclear reactor and you want to figure out where the radioactive bits are in the core. You can use this kind of technology. But AI behind the scenes is used to sort of solve the inverse modeling question in this particular application. At the top right, you can see it's an example of something called, sometimes referred to as maritime dynamics. So there is a company, for example, that is interested in modeling the physics and the dynamics and the way that its container ship fleet works in order to, in principle, use them more efficiently, more effectively to discern problems, and ultimately also as well reduce emissions. And given that you may know that 90% of everything material that you have has probably traveled in a container ship, that's quite an important problem to solve. In the bottom right, there's an illustration of the sort of the type of problems that's undertaken by a startup close to Bath that uses sensors in homes to try and figure out where insulation is poor, or there is a danger of damp, or there is a problem with overheating, or quite often the case of lack of heating. So this is deployed in social housing, and AI is used to detect a lot of those conditions from these very rich streams of signals. In the bottom center, we have another problem of processing data over time. This has come from a major bank, which is monitoring spending on its individual credit cards and payment cards. And the aim is to spot for fraud, to look out for fraud by detecting anomalies in the data stream. So every time you use your card, I don't know if you're aware, details about your transaction will generally be uploaded to the cloud somewhere, and some AI algorithms behind the scenes will be used to classify or estimate a probability that your transaction is genuine or perhaps it's fraudulent. The example in the bottom left, which looks like a landscape, is actually a seabed. And here, a particular machine learning model known as a Gaussian process was used to try and estimate how ocean currents would flow according to the temperature gradient in the sea, which itself is partly affected by the constituency of the seabed. So it's an interesting problem in climate science. And in the upper top left, you'll probably associate AI perhaps with video games. Historically, it has been, but that's just an example of a video game that launched about 20 years ago that actually included some machine learning behind the scenes as well. So those are just some examples, and of course there are many, many thousands of different ones, but these are the kind of things you can do if you are trained in AI, machine learning, and data science. So those are sort of examples of problems. Just to talk briefly about the kind of roles you might undertake. There's a whole, I could probably show 2 slides of the different types of roles you could take, just to give you some examples from our previous MSc Data Science. Obviously, you can become a data scientist, but there's a greater variety ranging from cloud engineers, financial technologists, cybersecurity. And to give you some concrete examples, there's just a few cases of some of the graduates of our previous MSc Data Science course and where they're working now. And they're often in sort of finance, but also in science, technology, and engineering is quite common. And the one case I'd just like to point out, we had a student, Tom Melamed, who graduated in 2019 from our course, and he went straight into the head of data science role at a company called The Filter. And he's now at 90% of Everything, which is a company that studies maritime dynamics and applies machine learning and AI to optimizing the performance of its container shipping fleet. So these are the people from the past, but thinking about the future, and if you're thinking about taking one of the master's courses here at Bath, I'm going to talk you through them now for the next 10 minutes, I think, 5 or 10 minutes, because as you're no doubt aware, we have 3 different courses which are sort of carefully being positioned to cover different parts of what is now an ever-growing sphere area. So we have an MSc in Artificial Intelligence, an MSc in Advanced Machine Learning, and an MSc in Data Science. So 3 different courses. That's definitely could cause potential for questions and a little bit of uncertainty. So let me try and describe how the courses differ and what their focus is. So let me start with the MSc in Artificial Intelligence. So maybe the most important thing just to be clear about first is the entry requirements, what we would expect of you as a prospective student on this course. So for all our courses, we require either a first or a strong 2-1. For MSc and AI, we would expect it to be an enumerate subject, which could include topics such as economics and a relevant social science. You should have a reasonable degree of confidence in certain mathematical topics, notably calculus and linear algebra, and some foundation in programming. So you'll be unsurprised to learn that our courses very much are centered on programming and implementations and applications in Python. So we don't expect that you necessarily know Python as a language. For MSc Artificial Intelligence, we do teach the Python programming as part of one of the units, as I'll show you in a moment. But we would expect that you had some proficiency in programming, some foundation there. So you had some basic programming skills that you could then translate into Python. So let me show you how the course is structured. So I'll be showing you this kind of diagram for all 3 courses. So let me just tell you some of the commonalities here. So the full year is split into thirds. The third part is perhaps easiest to describe. It's a specialist project that you would do over the summer. Prior to that, there will be 2 semesters of study. And during each semester, there is sort of split into 6, and we offer a number of units to fill out that academic year. Now, the units here shown in the sort of the stronger green, they are shared amongst all our 3 courses. Units shown in lighter green are shared amongst a couple of courses, and units in the sort of pale yellow or cream, they are specific to the individual course. So about half the course is specific, and the other half is shared to some degree. I'll describe why the applied artificial course is a little bit different in a moment. So our course centers around, inevitably, around machine learning and also deep learning. So we have in the first semester, we have a very sort of solid base in machine learning. Firstly, the Understanding Deep Learning unit, which is based around Simon Prince's textbook, which he developed in part here at the University of Bath. And that covers a whole range of underlying machine learning and AI technologies. Those that aren't covered in that course are also covered in our Foundational Machine Learning unit, which runs for the whole year. And at the beginning of that as well, we will cover some of the underlying mathematical skills. We'll reinforce some of those and perhaps introduce some new concepts. So that will all be rolled into that one foundational course that runs for the whole year to make sure everything is nicely up to date and up to speed. Also in the first semester in MSc AI, we teach reinforcement learning because obviously that's such a core topic. And at the same time, and parallel with everything, we also teach a unit called Analytic Software Technologies. So that's where we teach you Python, and based on that, use that as a foundation to then make use of the software libraries that you need for implementing AI. And all these skills that you've learning can then be applied in the year-long applied artificial intelligence unit, which you can think of as being in thirds. The first third is shared amongst the other courses and covers some of the details, but sort of more social and environmental details. So, for example, the legal and ethical and professional considerations of applying artificial intelligence and related systems in the real world. We can't ignore those. So we cover those in some depth for about a third of that unit. And then the remaining 2/3 are a group-based project, which allows you to exploit the specific skills you've learned on this course. And by the end of the second semester, you should be able to produce a very significant piece of work there. In the second semester, because this is the MSc in Artificial Intelligence, we do teach the classical artificial intelligence. I know I mentioned earlier about how the field of AI has changed, but I have another book to show you. This is the 4th edition of Russell and Norvig, and it's still highly relevant. It contains 1,000 pages, and some of the ideas and the science in there is being used, for example, by DeepMind in its alpha range of machine learning models. So much of that is still relevant, and we teach that in that particular unit. We also teach something called R&D project skills, which gives you some background skills, which will enable you and empower you to undertake your summer project, your specialist project. So, for example, you would learn things like literature skills, how to write a dissertation, how to do a search, etc. And at the same time, that would also introduce you to the projects that are available and the supervisors that would supervise you during the summer, So during that particular unit, you would actually choose your project and make a start on planning it and doing the literature search, so that when the summer begins, you're in a great position to hit the ground running, so to speak, so you can really get going and not waste any time setting things up. So that's a unit that's shared across all 3 courses for obvious reasons. And finally, I should just say there are 2 optional units. So those allow you to follow up particular topics that might be of interest to you. One can't say exactly ahead of time what options are available to you, but for example, you could do something technical like Bayesian machine learning, or you could do something that's a little more business focused, such as entrepreneurship, which we currently offer. Or maybe you would want to do something like natural language processing, given the interest in large language models at the moment. So those options would be open to you to sort of tailor your second semester experience. So that's MSc AI. Let's move on to MSc Advanced Machine Learning. So I should be quite clear here, this course is intended to be a little more focused on the machine learning aspects of AI. It is supposed to be a little more advanced, and as such, while we still are looking for a first class or 2-1 undergraduate degree or equivalent, I think we're a little more, we'd like to see a little more strongly numerate subjects. So in this particular list, you may notice we've sort of omitted economics and social science. We very much would like to see a strongly numerate background for anyone who took this course. Again, we'd like you to have some proficiency in mathematical topics, but in particular probability and statistics, I think in this case, along with the usual calculus and linear algebra. And the most important clarification I should make here is that we expect you, if you are going to do advanced machine learning, to already have knowledge of Python and be proficient in that language. So in MSc Advanced Machine Learning, we don't teach Python. So in summary, we expect a bit of a stronger mathematical background, and we expect that you know Python. So if we have a look at the course structure for this particular program, you'll notice we have the same shared units again for understanding deep learning, for foundations and R&D project skills. We also share reinforcement learning, it being so core to machine learning, with the MSc in AI. But an important distinction to note is we have an operational software technologies unit. So we don't teach Python. Instead of the time when we might have been teaching Python, instead, we're able to start teaching some of what we call operational technologies for machine learning. So how do you deploy a machine learning solution on specific hardware? How do you deploy it in the cloud? How do you deploy it in a way that is more robust than simply running AI or machine learning in a sort of experimental setting? How can you actually run that potentially in an industrial setting? And so that is also follows on into the applied machine learning unit of this course, in that while it shares the legal, ethical, and professional instruction that comes with the other courses, it will also be very much focused on the project phase. Again, it'll be a group project taking about 2/3 of the academic year. And the focus there will be on building a machine learning system that is deployable. So quite possibly that will include something that might be deployed on one of the cloud platforms that you probably know yourself. So that's very much the applied project here. It reflects the way different courses are focused, and that is part of that applied machine learning unit as well here. And in the second semester, while having the same two optional unit choices, for example, I would recommend if you did this course that you did Bayesian machine learning as one option. I think that would be a good choice. But we also have a specific unit tailored to this advanced machine learning course called Frontier Machine Learning. So you saw in that image earlier just how much things changed, not just from 1992, but things have changed quite significantly from 2012. Things have changed since November 22, when ChatGPT launched. We've seen dramatic changes in the field. We want to keep track of those. We want to learn about those. And then the idea of our Frontier Machine Learning unit is that we can keep the latest ideas and teach the new things as they come along, and understand the latest research, and maybe even try and anticipate and predict where the field will be moving in the next few months. So that's very much a cutting edge unit that's specifically designed for this course. And exactly like the previous course in MSc AI, there will be a summer specialist project, and that again will be up to you to hopefully find something that appeals to you, and a supervisor to work with that. One would expect that this would be a little more advanced than if you were to do MSc AI. So our final option of the three is our MSc in Data Science. This is very much, again, another focus course where we've fixed on a certain amount of topic areas consistent with perhaps more, shall we say, areas that have been more stable over time. But focusing on the entry requirements again, this has a similar level to the MSc AI. So if you think of all three courses, MSc in Advanced Machine Learning is a little bit higher entry requirements. This is equivalent to MSc AI. Again, a first or a 2-1 undergraduate degree in a numerate subject, which potentially could include economics and relevant social sciences. You should have some good mathematical capability. Definitely in data science, you need good calculus, linear algebra, some probability and statistics. And once again, hopefully some good foundation in programming. We will teach Python on this specific unit, unlike advanced machine learning. But nevertheless, you should at least have had some exposure to programming in the past. I don't think you would necessarily want to pick Python up straight from scratch if you'd never programmed before. So our structure of the unit is basically similar to before, in terms of shared units. I would point out that we have three bespoke units for this course that reflects the focus on data science. One is statistical data science, which covers a lot of the sort of experimental techniques, some of the what you might call traditional statistics that's nevertheless still relevant. Given its importance and its utility, we also incorporate Bayesian data science, which is an option on other courses, but we consider it to be sufficiently important here that it should be a core unit. And we also just cover some spatial temporal analytics, which is probably something that's underlooked by a lot of other courses, I believe. So I showed you 6 examples at the start of the presentation. I think 4 of those were temporal problems that dealt with time series data, and one was a spatial problem. So I think it's very easy to see language models and interesting visual generative AI and many of these problems, but behind the scenes in the real world, industry and commerce, I think the vast majority of problems are actually time series problems. My feeling is that isn't taught enough. So we've definitely included that as a focus as a second unit in MSc Data Science. So as a result, you'll have one optional choice, so you still have some scope to tailor this course how you would like it to be. We've very much zoomed in on some very core data science topics specifically on this course. So I think that's it for me. It's now my duty to hand you over to my colleague, Dr. Fabio Nemetz, who will talk you a bit through partly about the placement options that I overlooked earlier, but also about life at the University of Bath. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to share with you my passion for this university and for the Department of Computer Science. I'm, as Mike said, I'm Fabio Nemetz. I'm Director of Studies for those courses. So I interact a lot with students in the department. And as you can see here, the University of Bath is one of the top 10 UK universities. So we are doing super well in all rankings that you can see here. 8th in Complete University Guide, 8th in the Guardian University Guides, 7th in the Times, Sunday Times Good University Guide, 6th for graduate prospects. We get lots of students in jobs when they graduate, and the same joint 5th for career after 15 months. So we are doing quite well in this area. Um, just a second. Yes. So in world ranking, there's a ranking called World University Rankings. As you can see, we are one of the top 150 universities in the world, which is quite an achievement given the huge number of universities in the world. We are a top 100 for employer reputation, so we're doing even better for when our students graduate. We are ranked top 100 for employer reputation. So this is quite an achievement. This is a aerial picture of our campus. It's a beautiful campus and a very international community, over 21,000 students, around more than a quarter. These numbers varied. Sometimes it's a little bit more, come from outside the UK. It's a very, very diverse background of students. As you can see, also sports facilities, arts facilities. It's an incredible university to be part of. The city of Bath, of course, I have to mention Bath because it's a UNESCO World Heritage City. It's one of the only two cities in the world that is the whole city is a UNESCO World Heritage. It's a beautiful place to live. Location of Bath is in the southwest of England. It's well located connected to London, like 80 minutes to London by train, 15 minutes to Bristol. Bristol is slightly to the west of Bath. And the main airport that from London that we are closer to is 2 hours from Heathrow Airport, but also 50 minutes from airport in Bristol that connects you to all of Europe. I have some pictures of Bath because it's so beautiful. I think it's worth looking at where you'll be spending time if you join us, and I hope you do. This is the circus, and you can see the whole architecture of Bath. This is the Royal Crescent, super nice place to be part of. Pulteney Bridge, River Avon. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. You can Google and see lots of pictures of Bath, streets like that, and we will have some students here that can let you know how enjoyable it is to live in Bath. Here another set of pictures just to give you a taste of where we are located. It's a very touristic place, so you see lots of tourists coming from all over the world to visit this very special place. On the top left, you see Thermae Spa, which gives the name of Bath. It's the original of Bath is the Roman baths, Roman city that used to be here. In terms of safety, this is it's an easy one to talk about because Bath is an extremely safe city. It's ranked the third safest university town or city in England and Wales. This is a current ranking. Basically, what you need to know is that it's very safe. So we don't hear of any issues happening at Bath. It's super nice to be around. I'll spend a little bit of time talking about placements because as you could see from what Mike mentioned to you, the course is a 1-year course. So you come here, you start at the end of September, and you complete the course 2 months later. So it's mid-September the following year. So it's a full calendar year, but you could make this into a 2-year course if you introduce a placement option. So the placement option would happen after the 2 semesters that you have lectures, you have coursework, you have all the units that you take in the course. Then you would go for a placement. You go to spend a year in industry, and then you come back to do your summer specialist project. So the placement is open to all these courses that we described today. So it's an option. So if you want to have the placement option, you just select that when you register. And as I said, you will be an employee of a company, so you'll be practicing the stuff that you learn here, and of course learning new skills, learning soft skills, which will be extremely important for you when you graduate. In terms of activities for students here, The university itself has lots of societies that you can join. There's sports society, art societies, any hobbies that you have. You will find like-minded people that you can share your hobbies. The department is also very special. The department has lots of activities. This week, actually, and today, we have some activities for students happening on campus that are targeted for the master's courses. But you can see here some pictures, some hackathons that happen every year. There will be one happening very soon, unless two hackathons happening very soon. On the top left-hand side, you can see a ball that students organize, usually around Easter time, some barbecue around summer, conferences, and our students do well in awards of university. So you can see a picture on the left here where many of our students received awards, including postgraduate students, not only undergraduates, but also postgraduate students awarded by whatever they did in the department, their contributions to other students. Before I pass this to our students that are invited today to talk to you about their experiences, I just want to remind you that to apply for those courses, you just check to see the relevant course page. It's very easy to find this on the university website. You just have to apply to Bath button. The deadlines for home students is 31st of August of next year. So you still have time. 31st of July if you're international overseas student. However, having said that you have these deadlines for application, we do recommend you to apply early. Okay, the application process is a bit, it takes a while. And also because we close applications as soon as the courses are full. So we recommend applying as soon as possible, just to guarantee a place in the course. Before opening for questions, I will open now to Avnit. So I will stop. I think you can, Avnit, you can talk a little bit about your experience. Avnit graduated last summer from Masters in Data Science. So Avnit, can you share your experience of the course and university?
So, I think Fabio had put together very nicely of my whole experience of any typical student's experience in Bath. The city is beautiful and it's one of the safest cities in Southwest England. And me coming here a year ago, and a lot has really changed for me in terms of my perspective and in terms of my experience of living in one of the best cities in the world. Like Fabio mentioned, that it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it has got many of these amazing places around the city and within the city, which you can always visit. It's a small town where from one end to the other end, it would be a walking distance for everyone. And there's a city center. The university is very accessible. The public transport is amazing. And you have a very welcoming community in Bath. People are really welcoming and really helpful towards students. And I think the Roman baths, for example, a lot of these places are very subsidized for students. So you could always, they're always welcoming to students, and great natural beauty in terms of the city and amazing architecture. My entire course at the University of Bath for my MSc in Data Science has been really nice in terms of the very giving in terms of my whole learning process. And fortunately, I have been able to really learn a lot and upgrade myself into tech. I can do Python programming really well. I have very nice, robust understanding of mathematical concepts in machine learning. And I was also able to do my own dissertation on 3D cultural scenes, which is driven by GANs and diffusion models. So I have been receiving a very hands-on experience and great support from the supervisors here at the University of Bath. And I think that's about me. I think Ashita, would you like to add some more points to this?
Yes, I'm currently an MSc Artificial Intelligence student at University of Bath, And why I chose MSc AI in Bath is like it's very hands-on, like you just don't learn theory. We get to apply it in projects and coursework as I've been doing till now. The lectures are pretty good, they're very engaging, and I've learned so much from discussions with other students also till now. And that too, since everyone comes from different backgrounds, you always get a new perspective of students and what they think. And it has a really good student community. There are many clubs, societies, events, and I find it very easy to make friends and balance between studies and personal life. And yeah, till now, the career support, everything as an ongoing student, it's been really helpful. There's a lot of support from universities, and there are many workshops, networking events with employers. And I'm learning how to apply in real world roles in AI. And yeah, till now, it's been a very rewarding experience at the University of Bath.
Thank you, Fabio, and thank you to the two students as well. If I can welcome everyone on at this point, there have been a few questions beforehand come in. We've got quite a wide audience today, but we have got a few questions beforehand, which is great. To begin with, if we can talk about Bath as a place, because Fabio, you've mentioned it there, and I think Mike briefly mentioned it as well, but it really is one of those towns and cities where you don't realize until, because I've been to Bath a couple of times, you don't realize until you're there just how studenty it is, to put it that way. Every angle you turn towards, there are students. There's a very, very young dynamic there. Because of that, there's loads of different cultures. It is a bit of a home away from a home, isn't it? Wherever you might be from. What are the different types of cultures within the area, and how does that help students settle in? Fabio, if I can start with yourself, if that's okay.
Sure. Well, I am an international person here as well. So when I moved to Bath, I just can't live anymore because this is the place I chose to live. It's a fantastic place with lots of cultural opportunities. As you mentioned, extremely diverse culturally. It's British, but it has its own flavor of multiple cultures that mix. So this is reflected in terms of restaurants. So students can find restaurants, Thai restaurants, Indian restaurants, Italian restaurants, French restaurants. There's way more than what I can describe here, but it's very international. And the university itself, as I said before, it's almost 30% of all the students at the university are international. So it's reflected in societies here. You have societies that have lots of cultural events. And I think the students, I mean, I could ask Ashita and Avinit to talk about their own experiences, how easy it was to adapt or any challenges they faced when adapting to Bath.
Ashita, can we have you join if you can just put your camera on quickly. What it's like as a place to live there, and how easy you found it to settle in within the area.
It was pretty good. Like initially, even I was quite skeptic because I'm an international student, but the community is very welcoming. The people over here are very helping, and I could easily understand the other people over here, let it be in university or let it be in the city. But they're very welcoming in general, and they're very kind, and they're actually, yeah, like in general, they're very welcoming. So as such, it was not difficult like adjust with them or like to know them. And even the city is really good. So yeah, overall it was really good having being over here. Like there was no difficulty in general.
Yeah. And Ashita, while I've got you on as well, and we're talking about your career, what are your next steps? What is it that you're hoping to move into?
Since I'm doing AI over here, I'm planning to look for some career in the AI field, like either like an AI engineer or somewhere a starting step like an ML engineer. So I'm planning on looking for some internships anywhere I can get, and like to talk to my professors to gain help, and then to look into my portfolio, CV or anything, and how I can get assistance and work on hands-on project, because there are many opportunities in the university as well, what they provide to students studying over here. So yeah.
Excellent. And Mike and Fabio, I presume from a university standpoint that the career service, the hand-holding opportunities and the help offered by the university is significant. Obviously, you are a very strong career as a university, and you will help them find their next steps, not find the job because that's on them and their career path, but to just help them and a bit of hold handing in their mature stages.
We do a lot of work on that area, and that also it's not only the course what they learn here, but also how this is translated into how to show off their skills, and they have support from careers service. So we have a career service. We have people dedicated to our students, our computer science students, that run workshops and help them target their CVs, cover letters, find opportunities, and even train them into interviews. So when they go for interviews, job interviews, they can have mock interviews with our career service. On top of that, we have the placement. I mentioned the placements before, specifically for placement students. If you want to take a placement, we have also specific training for placement students from day one. Everything is from day one. So even before they start the course, when they arrive here, they already have sessions with careers and placements. So they know all the steps they need to take for when the moment comes to apply for a job, they know exactly what to do and they are prepared for that. I think, as I said, this is reflected on our results, what we get from in terms of employability, and this is one of the secret sauce that we have here at Bath, is working with the students towards that dream job that they want. And of course, for students that want to stay in academia, and as Mike mentioned, if they want to take a PhD, the department is very strong in all those areas that cover the course. So we have a lot of expertise in the area. So if they want to stay here to do a PhD, of course, they will have priority because they are our students. We are training them, so we know what they are capable of, and they could go for a PhD here at Bath, or of course any other university. They're well prepared for that.
And I'm sure that makes for a great alumni network as well. And Mike, if I can come back to you now, we saw your demonstration at the start and the presentation, which was fantastic. Can I talk about in particular for your learning and your education, the class style, what you can expect that education to look like, because it is quite it's quite a new kind of topic, a new theme. So it's not your stereotypical learning, is it? I'd imagine it's something quite unique. And therefore, what are the class sizes like, and what can a student expect that to look like?
Yes, that's a good question. I think there's quite a variety across units. So some units, as I tried to show in the diagram, some units are very much shared among the course. So the class sizes can be as large as the intake on the course, which can be up to 100 students. I think this year it's a little bit less than that, launching the new courses. Other classes can be quite focused. So I'm teaching one at the moment, for example, that has 30 students in it. So I think class sizes are quite nice at the moment. Neither too large nor too small. I think students feel a bit self-conscious as the classes are too small. Something we do emphasize, and I think Ashita hinted at this, is it's sort of very hands-on. So I strongly believe in that we have to teach the right foundations. And if we see the world of AI is probably going to change quite dramatically. It's changed already. I think it's going to change again. So I wouldn't want to be investing too much time in learning a particular application at the moment, when next year it will become redundant because something else has come along. So we strongly believe in teaching fundamentals, but we don't want to just teach theory, because I don't think that's either very interesting or really useful for the student. So as Ashita said, we try and find the optimal mix between teaching the right foundations and allowing the students to make use of that knowledge, building as part of the applied course. But also, every week when I teach my specific topic, I try and teach them some theory, and then I show them some demonstration working, so they can actually see it working rather than just seeing numbers on a slide. And then there'll be some kind of exercise that the students can do that week, where they can sort of try and repeat and then build on what we've shown them. So they're learning the fundamentals at the same time as learning how to exploit and apply those ideas.
And Mike, if I could just stay with you as well, there is this misconception almost that AI data has taken over our lives, and ultimately, yes, it is having a strong hold on everything that we do, but you still need a brain and a human behind that, don't you? And I think one of the things that I always take away from kind of any kind of AI or any kind of data science is that it's only as good as the person that's handling that data and AI. And how important is it to remember that for people's future and their career when they're looking at that it's important to understand this, because this is the way, like you mentioned, this time next year, it might be a completely different method that you're following. So how important is that to a student to remember that what you learn now, it's fundamental, but it might be different in 30 years' time?
Yes, I think I sort of tried to hint early on as well, I think there's two aspects to what you just asked. It's a very good question, Gareth. One is the fact that if you want to use existing technologies, let's say large language models, then I think you're definitely empowered if you understand a little bit about how they work. You can understand how they work, and then you understand how they go wrong, which often happens, of course. So a lot of the new AI methods, they're producing incredibly impressive results, but everyone knows that sometimes they go wrong, or they give you the wrong answer, or they don't quite work as you hope. So I think if you understand how they work, that will definitely empower anyone who goes on in future to use these tools. So definitely you are advantaged if you understand a bit about the fundamentals there.
Yeah.
Second point I tried to make at the very beginning when I talked about, for example, about textbooks, is we've definitely not converged on the right technologies yet in AI. That's why our current models are a little bit limited. We keep pushing them and pushing them and pushing them a bit further, but we definitely need new ideas. So I think that's why it's very useful for students to both get some hands-on expertise at current models and how current models work and how to apply them, because that does generate value. That's where all that money is coming from current models being applied. But at the same time, I think if you have some understanding of how these things work, you're in a better position to understand the next model that comes along, or maybe you could be the one that contributes to developing that. So it's at least double-edged, that question.
Yeah, Fabio, do you want to elaborate a little bit further on that from your perspective? It is double-edged, but I think it's such a key topic, isn't it?
It is, and it's being discussed these days. And but I agree with Mike. I think if you understand the fundamentals, you are prepared for the future. You are prepared for new technologies, new changes, and most importantly, we want our students to be able to create those technologies, to be the ones driving the future of AI, machine learning, and data science. So I think having the fundamentals covered will give them a career, not only a job, but a career ahead of them.
Excellent. Avni, can I welcome you back onto the screen if possible? I'm just conscious we haven't heard too much from you during the Q&A. So thank you for your time today, first and foremost. Can I just talk about your experience at the university? We heard from Ashita earlier say how well she settled in and what a great place it is to study. What is it for you that really stood out before going to Bath, and did it meet your expectations?
Okay. So I'm quite well traveled before coming to Bath, but then being able to live and being able to study together with people from communities from around the world. Like for example, I was living at one of the student accommodations at the Brook by the University of Bath, and my flatmates were from Mexico, from Colombia, from Scotland, from England, and even from Czech Republic. So we have a mix of people. We all play together. We all study together. We all do projects together. Most of our group works, for example, are all from people from around the world. And that's where you learn how to work in a team in a very global environment, which prepares you for the future in taking those global roles. I took entrepreneurship as one of my courses in my second semester, where we formed a group and we started working together on a project. And I come from a real estate background prior to this, and being able to integrate tech and real estate, which is called prop tech, I was able to, we were able to come up with a prototype, and which was graded highly by our professor. We received a distinction for it, and since then I have been working on it and building on it. And while I'm still in the UK, still in London, and been preparing more and making the product really better as an offering. And yeah, I think my overall experience in terms of living, in terms of exposure, in terms of the different way of learning, because I think the University of Bath has a very streamlined process of studies and academics, and very hands-on, very application-based, which prepares you to really be able to work and take up roles and be industry ready when the right time comes.
And Avneet, you mentioned there, and I think it's such an important point, that you come from a real estate background. You mentioned the different nationalities that were in the room. I'd imagine the backgrounds in terms of the career paths as well were very different because of the very nature of the topic. How important is that to remember for any student that is, going to Bath to study this program or any of the programs that are related to this, that it doesn't really matter what you're looking at, we can do it.
Yes, definitely. Because, as you know that as you progress in your career, as you take up more management roles, the company, the organization would expect you to be more technical as well, because this is the tech age. This is the digital age, the AI age. And since November 22, when ChatGPT came, the world changed. The world changed for the better. We have been able to do more work in less time. So it's imperative that you have a basic understanding, gain some understanding of how these LLMs or how AI works. And if you're able to integrate that with your industry knowledge, with domain expertise, because data science, for example, is built on 4 pillars: on domain expertise, on programming, on mathematics. So if all of these are integrated together, there is no better professional contributor than yourself.
Excellent. Mike and Fabio, just to wrap things up very quickly, in terms of any students that are interested that are watching this, what are the next steps? When are you looking in terms of enrollment dates? Are we looking at January 26? Are we looking at September 26? Are we looking at immediate enrollment? How does that work for a student?
So I can answer that because I'm an admissions tutor for the course. So as I think I mentioned before, that students can already apply for the course. As I said, it takes a while for the application to go through a pipeline. We recommend early applications. So we notice that late applications, there might, as I said, courses start to get full. In terms of deadlines for international students is July next year. For home students is August next year. So they have time, but it's recommended to go early. So they can go to our webpage. And I think I have, yes, I can share my screen here because you have, can I share my screen? Yes.
Absolutely, yes, feel free, yes.
Yeah, so I have an email here. So the website URL is bath.ac.uk/courses, but you can email PGT admissions, so PGT for postgraduate taught courses, PGT admissions at Bath. They will answer any questions that you have, irrespective of any questions about application. And if you want to be put in touch with me, they can forward the email to me, and I can answer any questions about the course itself. And so I recommend students to have a look at the entry requirements. Of course, to write, there is a personal statement they have to write. They have to upload a CV. They have to upload their transcripts from previous degree. As Mike said, there are some entry requirements, so they need to be aware of that. But as long as everything is proper, they will be being offered a place here with us. So hopefully we'll see you guys here September next year.
Absolutely fantastic. Mike, Fabio, Avneet, and Ashita, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. It's actually flown by. I can't believe it's been an hour already. It's going to be a key topic, and I think moving forward over the next 6 months, people watching this, if you're stuck with anything, please reach out to Fabio, reach out to Mike. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to communicate with you and to help you in any way, shape, or form, or to any of the team in the background that you can't see at the moment. But for now, thank you very much to all those that have participated, to the 2 students that have taken time out of their day today. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care.